It's 3 in the morning. The house is completely dark. The whole world has gone quiet in that particular way it only does in the deepest hours of the night. And then you hear it. Footsteps, small, soft, deliberate, moving down the hallway, pausing, moving again. A sound from the kitchen that might be nothing. A presence at the bedroom door that you feel before you see. And then, if you open your eyes just enough to look, your cat, walking the house in the dark, alone, methodical, as if it is doing something important that you interrupted simply by waking up. Most people roll over and go back to sleep. They tell themselves it's just a cat being a cat, nocturnal, restless, looking for a snack maybe, or chasing a shadow, or simply moving the way cats move, without explanation, without apology, according to rules that were never meant to be understood by anyone else. But what if that is not what is happening at all? What if your cat's nighttime wandering, those quiet, purposeful circuits through your darkened home, is not random, not restless, not the meaningless behavior of an animal with too much energy and nowhere to put it? What if, at 3 in the morning, your cat is doing something for you that you have never once been aware of? Something ancient, something protective, something that, when you understand it fully, will make those soft footsteps in the dark sound completely different to you for the rest of your life. Because here's the thing, what your cat does when the house goes quiet and you go to sleep is one of the most revealing and most misunderstood behaviors in the entire feline repertoire, and the real reason behind it is something that most cat owners will never hear. But once you do, you will never hear those 3 a.m. footsteps the same way again. Stay with me. The most extraordinary part of this story is still ahead. Let's begin where this story actually starts. Not at 3 in the morning, but millions of years before that, in the Gahoza landscape that wrote the instructions, your cat is still running every single night. Cats, as we have explored before, are both predator and prey. They hunt, but they are also hunted. And one of the most dangerous times in the life of any small predator is the period of deep rest, sleep. When the senses are dimmed, the body is vulnerable, and the awareness that keeps a creature alive has gone temporarily offline. In the wild, small cats manage this vulnerability through 2 things. The first is choosing sleep locations with great care, elevated, concealed, with clear sight lines and multiple exit routes. The second is something less obvious and far less discussed. They do not simply close their eyes and trust that the world will stay safe while they are gone from it. They monitor. Wild felids, both solitary small cats and those that live in loose social groups, engage in regular, periodic territory surveillance throughout the night hours. Not because they are hungry, not because they cannot sleep, but because the territory they occupy needs to be confirmed safe at regular intervals. Because the boundaries need to be walked, because the familiar smells and sounds and sight lines that make up their known world need to be checked against the possibility that something has changed since the last check. This behavior is not anxiety. It is not dysfunction. It is one of the most deeply ingrained survival strategies in the feline biological toolkit. And what most owners don't realize is that their cat, warm, well-fed, living in the safest environment it has ever known, is still running this ancient program every single night, without conscious decision, without the ability to turn it off, because it runs below the level of choice, in the part of the brain that doesn't know the difference between a suburban house and a wild hillside. Your cat is not wandering aimlessly at 3 in the morning. It is patrolling, with intention, with method, with the particular focus of a creature doing something its body has always known how to do. Something deeper is happening in those quiet nighttime circuits than you have ever been told. But here's the part that changes everything. Because the territory your cat is patrolling, the space it is walking and checking and confirming safe in those dark, quiet hours, is not just the house. It is you. Think about the specific geography of your cat's nighttime movements if you have ever paid close enough attention to map them. The circuits almost always include the same stops. The doors, checked, assessed, confirmed closed or open as expected. The windows, approached, scanned, read for any sign of change in the world outside. The food and water, noted. The furniture and the familiar objects of the home's daily landscape, navigated with the practiced ease of something that has memorized every inch of this territory. And then at some point in the circuit, almost always, your bedroom, your sleeping form, the particular corner or edge or expanse of you that is visible in the dark. Some cats stop in the doorway, some come all the way to the bedside, some complete their check and move on within seconds, continuing their circuit, but the bedroom, your location, is almost universally included, consistently. Night after night, as if it is one of the checkpoints on a route that has been walked so many times it has become automatic, because it is a checkpoint. You are a checkpoint. Research into feline territorial behavior has documented this pattern across multiple studies of indoor cats with unrestricted nighttime movement. Cats consistently include their bonded humans in their nocturnal surveillance routes, not occasionally, not randomly, consistently, with the same regularity that they check the windows and the doors and the perimeters of the space they consider their own. What most owners don't realize is that this tells them something extraordinary about their status in their cat's inner world. A dead cat surveys what it considers its territory, what it considers worth protecting, what it has claimed as its own, and therefore feels responsible for confirming safe through the long, dark, vulnerable hours of the night. You are in that category. You have always been in that category. Your cat has been taking quiet nocturnal responsibility for your safety since the first night you shared a roof, and you have been sleeping straight through every single round of it. Now let's go a layer deeper, because the patrol is only the beginning of what your cat is doing in those nighttime hours. And the next part of the story is the one that tends to produce a particular quality of silence when people hear it for the first time. Your cat's senses at night are operating at a level yours simply cannot match. We explored this before in the context of vision, the tapetum lucidum, the ability to see in near total darkness, the UV spectrum that opens up an entire layer of visual information invisible to human eyes. But at night, in the quiet of a sleeping house, it is not just vision that your cat brings to its work. The hearing of a cat is one of the most sophisticated auditory systems in the mammalian world. They can detect frequencies ranging from approximately 48 Hz all the way up to 85 kHz, more than double the upper range of human hearing. They can move each ear independently, rotating them like satellite dishes to triangulate the precise location of a sound in three-dimensional space. They can detect sounds at volumes 4 times lower than the human threshold of perception. In a quiet house at night, your cat is hearing an entire world of acoustic information that is completely invisible to you. The creak of the house settling, the sound of something moving outside, a block away, the particular quality of the wind through the eaves that indicates the weather changing, the sound of a car slowing on your street, a footstep on a porch, changes in air, pressure that precede the arrival of a storm. All of this arrives at your cat's ears in the dark with a clarity and a richness of detail that has no equivalent in human experience. And here is what your cat does with that information while you sleep. It listens, not passively, the way background noise registers without meaning, but actively, evaluating, sorting the familiar from the unfamiliar, the ordinary nighttime sounds of a known environment, from anything that deviates from the pattern. Running a continuous threat assessment on the auditory landscape of your shared home through every hour that you are unconscious and therefore unable to run it yourself. This is where it gets interesting, because this behavior, this active, continuous sensory monitoring of the nighttime environment, is not something your cat does for itself alone. Cats that live in bonded households and share their lives with a human they are attached to show measurably different nighttime behavior patterns than cats living in isolation. They check their person's location more frequently. They position themselves when they do rest with more consistent sight lines to the place where their person is sleeping. Their nighttime surveillance routes show a systematic quality that is oriented around the sleeping human as a central point of reference. The monitoring is not purely self-directed. It is social. It is the behavior of an animal that has extended its protective attention to include another being. And that other being, sleeping softly and unaware in the dark, is you. Something deeper is happening here than a cat that can't sleep. This is a guardian doing its rounds. Now let's talk about something that happens in those nighttime hours that is more intimate than most people are comfortable imagining. Because there is one behavior, specific, deliberate, and deeply loaded with meaning, that cats engage in during their nighttime visits to their sleeping owners. And it is something that almost nobody talks about. Your cat sniffs you while you sleep. Not a cursory sniff, a careful, thorough, systematic olfactory assessment of your sleeping body, your face particularly, the breath, which tells a cat an extraordinary amount about the physiological state of the person producing it, your hands, the particular warmth and scent of you at rest, which differs in detectable ways from the scent of you in waking, in stress, in illness, in emotional distress. Cats have approximately 200 million scent receptors in their nasal passages compared to roughly 5 million in a human nose. The olfactory information they gather from a single careful sniff of your sleeping face is almost incomprehensibly detailed by human standards. Your hydration level, your stress hormone signature, the subtle chemical changes that accompany the early stages of illness, sometimes days before symptoms appear. the particular biochemical fingerprint that is uniquely, specifically, unmistakably you, and any deviation from it that might indicate something has changed. Your cat is reading your vital signs while you sleep. Not metaphorically, not as a poetic interpretation of affectionate behavior, but in a very practical, very functional, very ancient sense, checking whether the most important member of its territory is okay, whether the signals coming from your sleeping body match the signals of a body that is well and at rest, or whether something in the biochemical landscape of you has shifted in ways that warrant attention. This is why some cats wake their owners in the night, not to be fed, not out of random restlessness, because something in the olfactory or acoustic information they have gathered during their nighttime rounds has tripped an alarm. Something was different, something didn't match, and the response to that discrepancy, the paw on the face, the insistent meow, the repeated headbutt that won't stop until you open your eyes, is exactly what it looks like. An alert, a wake-up call from a guardian who noticed something before you did. There are documented cases, and many of them from around the world, of cats waking their owners to alert them to gas leaks, to fires in early stages, to medical events like diabetic episodes and seizures that were beginning while the owner slept. The cat did not understand the specific danger, but it understood that something in the sensory landscape of its territory had changed in a way that registered as significant. And it acted on that understanding in the only way available to it. It woke you up, because you are its responsibility. And something was wrong, so let's return, finally, to that moment. 3 a.m, the soft footsteps in the hallway, the presence at the bedroom door. Before today, maybe that moment felt quirky, mildly amusing. A cat being a cat in the slightly strange, slightly unknowable way that cats always are. But now you know what you are actually hearing in those footsteps. You are hearing your cat walk the perimeter of everything it loves, checking the windows and the doors and the familiar geography of your shared home, and then checking you, standing in the doorway and reading the air around your sleeping body for the biochemical signatures of rest and health and safety, listening with those extraordinary ears to the nighttime acoustic landscape of your home, sorting the ordinary from the concerning, running the ancient, dedicated program of protection that its body has carried since long before either of you existed. You are hearing, in those quiet nighttime rounds, the most consistent and most uncelebrated act of care that your cat performs. Every night, without recognition, without thanks, without any expectation that you will ever know it is happening at all. It does not do this because you asked it to. It does not do this because it was trained to or rewarded for it. It does it because you are its territory, the most important part of its territory. And keeping you safe is something its body knows how to do and chooses, every single night, to do. The next time those soft footsteps move through the dark and pause at your door before you drift back under, take one breath. Listen to them. Really listen. That is your cat making its rounds. That is your cat checking that you are okay. That is your cat doing what it has always done in the deep and quiet hours when the world is most vulnerable and the need for someone to keep watch is most real. It chose to be that someone for you. Night after night after night, without a word, without a witness, without anything in return. All it has ever asked is that you be there when it comes to check. And you always are. If this story made those 3 a.m. footsteps feel completely different, share it with someone who has a cat and needs to hear it. And if you want to keep exploring the extraordinary hidden world of your cat, stay right here. There will always be more to discover.